We will begin shortly. Stand by. Thanks. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to the Clayton Community Meeting for Clayton County and Marta update. We are happy to have you here with us this evening. There's a lot of things you could be doing on this beautiful evening, but we are happy to have you here with us as we share some important updates and some exciting news that's happening in Clayton County. My name is Erica Pines, and I'm the Senior Director of Stakeholder and Public Engagement for Marta. And just to give you guys some background, we started in November of 2014. The transportation referendum was passed to allow Marta to start service in Clayton County. And a few short months later, in March of 2015, we actually began service in Clayton County. So we want to thank those who supported the referendum and those who still support Marta to this day. And in particular, we want to thank the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, which is led by Chairman Turner. And we want to thank all of the local municipalities in the county of Clayton that also support Marta. Leading the Ridership team is our CEO and General Manager, Jeff Parker, and you're joined tonight by a lot of team members from Marta and also by a lot of our project team members. And I in particular want to thank our Clayton County board members who sit on the board, Ms. Roberta Abdul-Salam and Mr. Griffin. And just so you guys know, what we're doing tonight is we're just coming to the public, giving you an update on what is happening in and around Clayton County, what we're doing at Marta. We've made a lot of strides over the past 5 years, and we're going to be hosting these meetings throughout the jurisdictions that Marta serves. Want to let you guys know that Clayton is the first one, and we'll go through other parts of our Marta region in the upcoming months. And just so you know, we have a Q&A section. We ask that you post your questions in the question and answer section, the Q&A section. So if you take a moment to figure out where that is, because there's a comment box and there's a Q&A box. So find the Q&A section. We're going to try our best to get to all of the questions before tonight, or get to as many as possible. If you have project questions and questions that you want answered, project specifically, we will try to answer those this evening. If you have any essential services questions, we would like for you to email those to custserv, that's CUSTSERV, at itsmarta.com. Or if you have a question about your bus, I know a lot of people are thinking about our essential services plan and wonder if their run is coming back. Send those questions to our customer service department at custserv@itsmarta.com. And the reason why we want you to send those to customer service is because we take your questions and your concerns very seriously, and we like to get those documented in our system so that we can follow up. So tonight, this is going to be a two-part meeting. We're going to start with Mr. Frank Rucker, who is our Chief of Capital Programs and Planning and Innovation. And he's going to talk about some general Marta updates and programs. And then Tracy Robertson, who's a transit system project planner, she's going to come talk to you all about the transit system plan that we are trying to move forward with in Clayton County. Now, when we get to the transit system plan, I would like it if you guys could take notes, because we're going to come back to you later this month, and Tracy will go through that. But we want you to pay attention to what we have in mind as far as the planning process, but we also want to hear from you. We don't want to make decisions about service in Clayton County in silos. So it's really important that you pay attention to that part of the presentation when Tracy comes on. And like I said, we will be coming back to the public late October to follow up on the transit system plan and to do a more in-depth preview of what we kind of have in mind to improve and enhance service in Clayton County. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Rucker, it's on you. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. So thank you, Erica, for that introduction. I want just let me do a check and make sure that people can hear me. Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. All right. So my name is Frank Rucker, and again, I'm Chief of Capital Programs here at Marta, primarily responsible for the implementation of what we call our state of good repair, as well as our expansion programs. Our very ambitious expansion programs. So I'm happy to be here with you this evening and to present this overview of this really exciting program. So our agenda will be as follows. We'll spend some time talking about our Marta 2040 program. So what we mean by 2040, we're looking to transform traffic transit within the region. So over the next 20 years, and as we begin to get started, we'll continue to compound, build on what we are creating here, what we've already created, and we'll begin to give you some ideas of what that will be. Want to give you a COVID-19 update. Want to take a look at what we see as a very successful transit hub. That's the one down at the Justice Center. Want to give you some update on the shelters and amenities program that we got going on within the region, as well as give you an overview of the multi-purpose maintenance facility that's coming. Okay. All right. So Marta is embarking on an unprecedented program of capital investment known as the Marta 2040. Program is designed to rehabilitate the existing system and expand transit in the region. Over the next 2 decades, Marta will expand its network to increase connectivity, mobility, and accessibility with historic transit investments. As the region populations continue to climb, Marta's 2040 expansion projects will help meet the demand for improved mobility. Our 2040 program also includes a comprehensive list of what we call state of good repair projects that will restore many of the authority's existing assets, help ensure safety across the system, and enhance the overall customer experience. From a new fleet of rail cars to an overhaul of existing elevators and escalators to renovation of all 38 stations, our 2040 program represents the authority's commitment to our customers. Additionally, we have ongoing system-wide improvements, which consist of behind-the-scenes enhancements, including track renovations, tunnel ventilation system modernization, as well as auxiliary power and automatic train control system upgrades. So I want to take a few minutes to take about our COVID-19 update and maybe get some insight to our essential service routes. So as you know, Marta is not immune to the impacts caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and have had to make necessary modifications to maintain a needed public service. So the initial decision to make this emergency temporary change to service was not a decision made lightly. The negative impact to riders across the jurisdictions weighed heavy on everyone, but the need for drastic action in the face of the pandemic could not be ignored. As you know, the COVID-19 situation, that is worse today than when it started, basically when we started the essential plan. So as an example, in April 20th, the 7-day rolling average for positive cases was about 760, and today is over 2,000. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Marta's essential service plan was launched on April 20th. The initial plan maintained 40 critical bus routes and 1 new circulated service. By the end of September, MARTA will expand to 48 essential routes. The essential service plan provides transportation to 17 hospitals, 22 urgent care centers, 85 grocery stores, and 16 job centers to basically, support our customer. Modified service enables enhanced service frequency to maximize social distancing and enhance safety for the customers and employees. And we've also launched a successful mass distribution campaign. Observed mask wearing on buses and trains is now in the 90% range. Okay, we've now used an equitable, data-driven process to determine essential route services, prioritizing service based on various factors, including access to hospital and urgent care facilities, essential supplies, jobs, and industrial hubs, and MARTA bus garages, while also factoring in current ridership demand. Of Clayton's 9 routes, only 3 have been temporarily suspended. Nearly 50%, we've seen a 50% decrease in Clayton's daily ridership since the pandemic. And we are constantly monitoring data pertaining to the COVID pandemic and assessing service levels on a weekly basis. Routes are added back slowly when capacity monitoring indicates that we have buses available. Routes are added back based on an index prioritization. Each route is given a weighted index score based on 4 criteria. Impacts on the criteria are impacts on vulnerable populations, essential destinations on the route, pre-COVID ridership, and customer comments. Okay, next we're going to transition and look at the Clayton Justice Center Hub. So the transfer station serves as a hub for 4 bus routes and approximately 800 daily riders. Phase 1 of the transit center consisted of improved waiting areas with shelters and transit information, park ride spaces, improved pedestrian walkways and crossways. The Justice Center officially opened July 2020. Local artist George Baker III was engaged to help Clayton residents add a artistic touch to the temporary barriers during our grand opening event. We plan to basically implement a phase 2, which is scheduled to open in 2020, which will be a permanent facility with shelters as well as digital signage and an on-site grease machine. With that, we have a video we'd like to show you.
We may need to start the video, but we can't hear it.
Justice Center's Transit Hub. This facility serves about 800 customers a day, 3 months out. So today is a great day in Clayton County simply because this transit hub, this was not his creation.
So is that video online? So basically, maybe as part of questions and answers, we can actually give people the actual link to access.
Yeah, we'll post them online, and for people that registered, we will send them a copy because there's another video also. We'll send a copy of those videos, and if you guys would like to request the video, just email us and we'll get you a copy. Thank you.
So let's talk about this, our expanded shelters and amenities program. So basically, you know, we wanted to at least go back and give you some indication of how we select sites for our shelters. So it's based on, well, we got 5 criteria here, starting with the first criteria, ridership. So we use service standards adopted by Marta Board to qualify bus stops for upgrades based on ridership. Currently, a shelter requires 25 or more boardings per day, and a bench requires 15. We look at land use. So we look at what we call lifeline facilities. Those include senior citizens facilities, hospitals, government offices, and other locations where we think there may be a high need for the amenities. We consider local input from public officials, from the public, and other stakeholders such as business districts. Sometimes request locations have very low ridership or site issues. So we have to do a field evaluation to make a final determination. We also look at local projects and try to coordinate their work with construction ongoing. And we also do a field evaluation. So once we identify those candidates for upgrade, we do an evaluation to make sure an amenity can't be constructed, and therefore we identify any issues before we start the process. Next, you know, as we go through the construction phase, of course, we've already gone through the site selection. Well, then we do the problem solving. So we have to resolve issues like physical constraints or private property. Sometimes we can skip this step, though, if the site is clear from the start. We have to do surveys, we have to design, so we perform those surveys, then construction plans are drawn up. You know, we have to obtain permits, you know, so whether it's with the local government, such as Clayton County, or agency within the county, as well as Georgia Department of Transportation. So each city and agency has its own permitting process, and time to negotiate that process may definitely varies, and some takes a lot longer than others. So construction, once we have the permit, we clear the site and build an amenity. You know, of course, this sometimes requires that we actually move some earth, and as always, we always pour pads. And we try to make these shelters, and one of the things I didn't mention is we really look at ADA accessibility as we're beginning to basically build inside the facilities. So we have another video we'd like to show you.
And once again, that video, it will be posted on our website, and we'll also push it out on social so that you guys can see it. But that video was explaining the shelter program with some comments from Chairman Turner.
Okay, so moving forward, I'd like to give you all an update of where our current progression of putting the shelters and amenities within the county. So we started a very ambitious program over our service jurisdictions, and so we've identified 150 bus stops within Clayton County that we'd like to install shelters, these bus stop amenities. So in 2020, we've already installed 30 new shelters throughout the county. We plan on 30 additional amenities in calendar year 2021. So as a summary, Currently, we have 48 shelters at 635 bus stops. So we look forward to actually continuing to serve you better as we begin to put more and more shelters within the county. Wanted to talk a little bit about the Clayton County Multi-Purpose Operations and Maintenance Facility that we're in the process of, we're in the planning process, and so we're really excited about this program. So the maintenance facility will serve as a bus storage and maintenance facility that also houses out paratransit and mobility vehicles. Secondarily, it will serve as a Marta police precinct and provide space for administrative offices and training. We also want to ensure space is available for potential expansion. And progress to date, of course, we have multiple sites we had to evaluate. That's been basically reduced, and we are now at the point of site selection. We've completed numerous analysis, and basically we are at the point of selecting. So if anybody wants to know the evaluation criteria, we have to look at what we call operations and what we call deadhead costs from the site. So deadhead is basically just the time it takes to actually access the network. We have physical site conditions. We look at utilities, road access. We look at zonings, land use, and environmental considerations, and basically coming up with that criteria. We look at availability of the property and accessibility for future high-capacity transit projects, which we'll begin to talk about later when Tracy comes up. So again, looking at some of the benefits, we see increased system efficiency. So we'll be relocating equipment from a couple of garages that will be Laredo and Hamilton to the new facility, which will reduce, again, deadhead time and reduce overall bus mileage, lost revenue time, and emissions. Drivers will not have to travel as far to reach bus stops. Also, a disabled bus will not have to be hauled to those respective garages. They'll actually be taken to the Clayton facility. It will reduce our operational costs. We will expand. There will be an expansion of paratransit service within the region. We'll have potential support for alternative fuels. So we are considering, right now we run diesel fuel as well as compressed natural gas. In the future, we'll be considering electric buses. So, of course, that facility will have to have access to that infrastructure. And last but not least, and probably most important, we see it as investment in Clayton County, which basically will produce not only construction jobs, but also will create new jobs in transit locally. So, on behalf of Marta, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. At this point, I will transition to Ms. Tracy Roberson to share more information about our plans for our transit system and the plans associated with that. Tracy.
Tracy, you may be muted. Please stand by. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
All right. Greetings, Clayton residents, Clayton leadership, elected officials, and major stakeholders. I am so excited to have this opportunity to share with you. And I definitely thank you for taking time this evening to review the plans for improving, extending, and building out the complete transit network, which will serve the citizens of Clayton County for years to come. Marta has been diligently designing new recommended transit investments in Clayton County. This presentation will focus on proposed recommendations from the Clayton County Transit System Plan. These proposed transit investments have the potential to serve and benefit more than 260,000 residents and major employment centers of Clayton County, as well as others in neighboring Fulton, Cass, Fayette, and Henry counties. In this presentation, I will explain the purpose of the Clayton Transit System Plan, discuss previous community engagement efforts, which help Marta frame these recommendations, compare our pre-COVID Marta service with the proposed recommendations for future service, and provide the next steps for the Clayton Transit System Plan. Let's discuss what exactly is a transit system plan. This transit system plan involves exploring various transit improvements and providing solutions to improve Clayton County's transportation mobility, accessibility, and connectivity to the Atlanta region, while providing greater access to jobs, providing congestion relief, environmental benefits, and bolstering economic development within the county. The Clayton Transit System Plan is designed to create a 30-year vision for transit improvement, which address the future needs of the county. This plan creates a prioritized transportation project and identifies short-range and mid to long-range improvements that offer a redesigned and improved bus network in Clayton County. Several new transit elements are introduced in this plan. The plan features the addition of mobility hubs to the Clayton Transit network, along with the addition of high-capacity service in the form of arterial rapid transit, better known as ART, and bus rapid transit, better known as BRT. So let's talk about each of the new elements. The first new element is the addition of mobility hubs. Mobility hubs are small transit stations that may be easily integrated within the community and offer connections and transfer points to multiple transit routes. These mobility hubs may also feature ticket vending machines, bus shelters with passenger seating, trash receptacle, and some mobility hubs may offer park and ride spaces. As Frank spoke earlier, we had an opportunity to look at the transit system hub at the Justice Center. Now, the second element proposed by the transit system plan is the introduction of arterial rapid transit to Clayton County. This is a type of enhanced service consisting of a network of fast and frequent transit routes on high-density mixed-use corridors like US 41, and well as like Cara Boulevard. Some of the ART characteristics include more frequent service, with buses arriving every 15 minutes or less, operating at higher speeds than local bus, transit signal priority, enhanced stops, and queue-jump lanes. Queue-jump lanes are short, dedicated, transit-only lanes that allows buses to enter traffic in a priority position before the regular vehicles. All of these features help improve bus travel time. The final new element proposed by the system plan is bus rapid transit. BRT is a bus mode that is designed to offer many of the same benefits that we see in ART. BRT is designed to be constructed lower than what it will cost to construct rail, but it also has very much rail-like features. To reduce the impacts of congestion, BRT vehicles may operate in designated transit lanes for buses only, allowing for higher speeds, fewer delays than regular local bus service. As mentioned, BRT infrastructure is much less expensive to build compared to a train. Another feature is that BRT vehicles are often articulated, allowing for greater capacity and more stylized than local buses with their own special vehicle branding. Just like ART, BRT has frequency of 15 minutes or less. The distance between stations are typically greater than local bus, which allows the bus to travel much faster. And again, bus traffic transit is fast and frequent and provides a real-life user experience. So let's take a look at how we got to where we are. We began the transit system plan in 2018. And since that time, we have used methods to stakeholders and the public to help us create this plan. Input has been received from citizens during our open houses and public meetings. Marta has received input from advisory committees such as the Clayton Citizens Advisory Group, the Stakeholder and Technical Advisory Group, as well as organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce and Organized Clayton. Additionally, briefings with the Clayton County Board of Commissioners have been ongoing. So we have received an input from a broad base of stakeholders. And all of this input has been used to create and design the recommendations that you will see here today. So I'd just like to say that Marta and Clayton stakeholders have worked together hand in hand doing multiple workshops to get real data so that Marta can get a real clear understanding of the transit needs for the riders in Clayton. And all of this has led to the recommendations I'm about to share with you. So before going into the recommendations, let's take a look at Marta's existing service in Clayton County. We currently have 9 routes shown on the screen, and these are the 9 routes that are exclusive to Clayton County. And we are calling these routes pre-COVID because, as you all are aware, because of the pandemic, Marta has had to reduce service really all over all jurisdictions. So, of course, Clayton has been impacted as well. So the 9 routes you see, we're considering these pre-COVID routes, and we're going to compare what we have now to what's become as part of the system plan. But do note that routes 197 and 198 on this particular map are shown with an asterisk because these 2 routes were actually slated to begin in August of this year, but they have been delayed due to COVID-19, but we still wanted to represent them as exclusively for Clayton as part of the 9. So now let's move on and let's look at the proposed recommendations. So if you take a look here, 2 ART routes have been created to offer greater mobility to Clayton County. First ART route will connect to the College Park Station and to the South Lake Mall area via City of Riverdale. The next ART route will offer enhanced transit service from East Point Marta Station to the Clayton Justice Center along US 41 and Terra Boulevard. Now, the 9 routes that you previously saw, these 9 routes have been completely redesigned. And these routes will continue to service Clayton County, but will offer greater frequency than local bus service. So we have the 9 routes. And before we go on, I'm going to ask Jennifer Hibbert. She works with Marta, consultant team. If you can take a moment to share some of the operating characteristics for the 9 redesigned routes, I would greatly appreciate that. And then you can turn it back over to me for the next section.
Sure. Thank you very much, Tracy. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Okay, perfect. I'd like to detail more about the local bus service that's being proposed. The local bus routes have been redesigned to complement the ART and BRT projects that Tracy will talk to you more about in just a sec, as well as these bus routes will offer more frequent service. To accommodate this more frequent service, the proposed local bus routes have been strategically shortened in length with the majority of them terminating at one of the proposed mobility hubs that Tracy will also explain in just a second. Route 191 would operate from a mobility hub located in the Forest Park area to the Clayton County Justice Center Mobility Hub along State Route 85, Wet River Road, and US 1941 Terra Boulevard. Route 192 would operate, I can click in Route 192. There you are, 192. Route 192 would operate between the Forest Park Mobility Hub, the Justice Center Mobility Hub, and Lovejoy along US 1941 Terra Boulevard and offer circulator service through the city of Lovejoy. Route 193 would operate transit service from the Forest Park Mobility Hub to that Justice Center Mobility Hub again, primarily along Forest Parkway and State Route 54 or Jonesboro Road. Route 194 would operate from the Forest Park Mobility Hub to the Justice Center Mobility Hub, running north along 1941 for a short distance to Charles W. Grant Parkway and connecting to the International Terminal at Hartsville-Jackson International Airport. The route would then serve the eastern side of the county and stop at a mobility hub at the South Lake Mall area before ending at the Justice Center Mobility Hub. Route 195 is an east-west route serving primarily the northern section of Clayton County, passing through the Forest Park Mobility Hub on the way to the College Park MARTA station. Route 196 is an east-west route serving the northern section of Clayton County, passing through the Forest Park Mobility Hub on the way to the College Park MARTA station. Route 196 would operate service from the College Park MARTA station to a new mobility hub in Riverdale along US 29 or Roosevelt Highway, Old National, and Riverdale Road. Route 197, I've got to realign here somehow. Route 197, primarily an east-west route from the mobility hub in Riverdale to the Stockbridge area that traverses through the central section of the county. Route 198 would operate service from the mobility hub in Riverdale to the mobility hub in South Lake Mall via State Route 138 and State Route 54. And finally, Route 199 would act as a circulator route from the South Lake Mobility Hub to a park and ride lot that would be located in the Stockbridge area. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tracy, to continue to talk more about these mobility hubs. All right, great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me loud and clear? Can hear you perfectly. Yes, we can. All right, excellent. So, we just went over the 9 routes, and now we'll talk about the 4 new transit facilities that's proposed during this phase of the system plan. I did forget to mention, this is phase 1. We are bringing the system plan in 2 phases, and what you see now is considered phase 1. During phase 1, there will be 4 new transit facilities. This includes 3 new mobility hubs, 1 in Forest Park, the South Lake Mall area, and 1 at the Clayton Justice Center, and a park and ride lot in Lovejoy. South Lake Mall and Clayton Justice Center mobility hubs will offer additional parking for transit patrons. Additionally, a new park and ride lot in Lovejoy will allow transit users from the southern section of the county, along with people traveling from outside of the county, to quickly access the redesigned transit system in Clayton County. So that is phase 1, and now let's look at phase 2. So the next phase of the recommendation, we will have the College Park, the South Lake Mall ART route will be upgraded and converted into a bus rapid transit. This will be done with the addition of transit-only lanes along portions of this high-capacity transit route to allow more reliable and permit travelers to see more travel time savings. And then we'll also introduce a new ART route to be implemented from Riverdale to the Clayton Justice Center along State Route 138 and US 41. Additionally, we will have 2 more transit facilities to be added during phase 2. A mobility hub with parking in Riverdale and a park and ride lot in the Stockbridge area located adjacent to Interstate 75, and we're calling this Clayton East. Before I move on, Jennifer, do you have anything you want to add here? Sure. Let me
turn my video back on. Sure, thank you very much, Tracy. So each of the mobility hubs has been placed strategically throughout the county to offer greater operational efficiencies and also to offer greater transit spatial coverage throughout Clayton County. At least 2 of the routes will circulate through each one of the mobility hubs, with most of the hubs having 4 routes circulating through them, and some of them having up to 6 routes circulating through them. So you can see that these mobility hubs will be an important part of the future of the transit system in Clayton County. Tracy, I think I'm going to go back to you.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
So now let's take a look at the full suite of proposed recommendations, both for phase 1 and phase 2. So this is the complete set of recommendations. If you take a look here, the complete recommendations include 1 BRT route, 2 ART routes, and then it also takes into consideration the high-capacity corridor on State Route 54, which is still currently under analysis. And then you have the 9 completely restructured local bus routes and 6 new transit facilities, including the mobility hub and the parking lot. So this is the full plan to integrate all that Marta has promised to the county into one overall plan with all the necessary details. So now let's take a look at what we have now versus the full build out, so that you can see basically what we have currently now are the 9 routes versus the full build out, including phase 1 and phase 2, to include your high capacity options, mobility hub, as well as better designed bus service. Now, if we take a look at these and compare side by side, let me give you a few characteristics between the two here. So if we look at the existing, all of the existing bus routes terminate at Marta Station. There are no designated transfer facilities for intra-county travel. Marta does not currently offer high-capacity transit service within Clayton County. Frequencies for the local bus routes can vary, but can be up to 60 minutes for the existing service. Generally, Marta offers 1 route per corridor in the current design. And finally, if a transit passenger only wants to travel within the county, they must make several transfers to reach their destination, which means very lengthy trips for inter-county travel. Now let's parlay that with the proposed new service and the features here. So for here, if we look at the new features, bus routes actually terminate at the mobility hub and at the Marta rail station. This allows the bus routes to be shorter with more frequent service. The recommendations also feature up to 4 new mobility hubs designed for quick, efficient transfers. And recommendations in this system plan introduces 3 high-capacity, high-frequency BRT and ART routes. Local bus frequencies will significantly increase with the proposed recommendations. The new recommendations consolidate service along certain corridors and at the mobility hub. Finally, the proposed recommendations offer the ability to transfer to Marta rail service with higher service. The proposed recommendations do have some similarities to the existing service, and those similarities are that we have a similar geographic reach, and additionally, the proposed recommendations may be implemented with similar operating costs compared to the existing system. That means you can have a better Clayton Transit network with minimal financial impact to Marta and Clayton. So that gives you an overview of the recommendations. And as Erica spoke earlier, we definitely want your input. So just a few next steps that we have. We are going through the process now to gather additional public input. So we are doing that during the month of both September and October. We will have an additional public meeting mid to late October. That date has not been determined, but everyone on this call will definitely get an invite to the public meeting. And once we get all of your input, we will finalize this plan and move forward to get it approved later this year. So, thank you again for taking the time to share with us this evening. We definitely welcome your feedback concerning these recommendations and this presentation. And we will have a question and answer session tonight, but if your questions are not covered, please do submit your questions and your comments. And you can do that by sending it to an email, clayton@itsmarter.com, or you can use our public comment line, 404-848-5299. And if you will, please submit your comments by October 15th. Again, thank you for attending this evening, and Marta continues to look forward for our partnership and serving the great citizens of Clayton. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to you, Erica.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Frank, for giving us those important updates. As Tracy went through that system planning, we will be coming back to the public late October, mid to late October, and we will post that presentation online so that you guys can review that. And we'll do a more in-depth presentation because we value your feedback and we want your feedback on those proposed system updates. I am going to start with, give me 1 second, I'm pulling up these questions. One of the questions is, hold on. Sorry about this, trying to get all the questions organized in the chat. Okay, one that I'm really familiar with because we've been talking a lot about it, so I'll take a stab at this question and then I'll turn it over to the project team. But there are actually two that I think I can answer. The first one is, are there any plans to place shelters or amenities in the city of Morrow? Currently in the city of Morrow, we have 35 bus stops, and 2 of those stops have shelters. And Frank explained to you the criteria on how we place shelters. There are different things such as ridership, need, community input, and things of that sort. Marta's plan for Clayton, as stated, is 30 new shelters a year for the next 4 years. We are currently reviewing the stops for Morrow, and just so you know, we will be presenting to the mayor and city council in October. We're going to do a presentation at the city council meeting in Morrow, so we should have some further updates by then. But as Tracy said, please send those questions so that we can log them. And then another question was about the website, on Marta's website dated spring 2018, can you commit to publishing more documents on a more frequent basis? I am so glad you asked that question because we are in the process of developing a comprehensive website for Marta for all of our jurisdictions, and we hope to have that website live soon. That way you can go to one location that would give you an update on the capital program. And it'll just be a one-stop shop where you won't have to search around. You can just click on Clayton and it will show you everything that's going on with Clayton, from bus stops and amenities to the system plan. And it would also provide an opportunity for you to provide feedback. But we do understand that we have different information in different places and that we need to keep our information more current. So we're developing that site right now and we're near the finish line. So hopefully you'll see it within the next couple of weeks. Thanks. We do have a question. We got several questions about commuter rail. I am going to turn that over to Jennifer Hibbett, if you could answer that question for me, please. Just to give an update on commuter rail, where are we? I know we kind of discussed it, but we did get a lot of questions about that.
Sure. Erica, I apologize. I can't actually see the question, so I'll just give a quick update on that. Tracy mentioned earlier in the slideshow that we are still studying, that State Route 54 is still under analysis, and so we are continuing along with the planning process for that. That process can be, because of the type of transit investment it is, with commuter rail being a high-capacity transit, the planning process sometimes can be fairly lengthy for a type of transit investment of that nature.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, does that answer the question?
Yeah, people were just asking a bunch of questions about commuter rail, so I just wanted a general update because, there were several questions about, like, when is it happening? And we do have a question about the Justice Center Transit Hub street address. If someone on the panel could look for that street address, that would be great, and we'll go on to another question.
Eric, so we have
Yes.
Ryan Van Sickle. He's on the call, and he may be able to provide something on that.
Perfect. Ryan, can you help us out? Ryan, you may be muted.
Okay, so maybe not.
Okay.
We'll definitely get an answer to that.
Okay, so while I go to the next question, if someone could help me out with that, that would be great. We have a question that says, hold on. Will Marta utilize the Greta Express parking rides in Clayton to help as transfers to help speed up time to downtown Atlanta, or are they planning express bus routes as a substitute choice for those wanting to get to downtown quicker? Olin may be able to answer that for us.
Thanks, Erica. So, as we go through the system plan and make refinements, we're looking at coordinating with the Greta Express routes. Right now, the proposed 198 route will go over and pick up the express lot directly. And I'm glad you asked about proposed express routes to downtown. We are thinking about that, except it's complicated. And so all I can really say is we're working on it, and it depends on some things that happen with the city of Atlanta and the more Marta plan and the arterial rapid transit routes that they're implementing. But we are hoping that we can provide at least one express route directly into downtown Atlanta from Clayton County, but we're not quite ready to bring that up to you guys yet.
Okay, and then we had we had a BRT question, Olin. I'm trying to find, okay, it says, regarding BRT, what is considered to be constructed for the first phase scheduled to be operating by 2026?
So that would be the BRT coming down the west side of the county from the East Point Marta station down through Riverdale and into the South Lake Mall area.
Okay, so do you have any information about the first phase about that, or? Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry, that is the first phase, and I think
gotcha.
As Tracy said, it'll start out as an arterial rapid transit that will come online. I forget the exact date, but it'll be before 2026, and then once that's in operation, Marta will upgrade it to BRT along the whole route, and it'll be completed as BRT in 2026.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that.
And Eric, I can confirm that is the date 2026 on that. I do have a response to the question, the address to the Justice Center.
Yeah.
I can give you that. So we have the closest address is 9157 Tara Boulevard. But, of course, the access, they should turn down Post Way from Park Boulevard to the rear of the Justice Center parking lot. It's near the Jim Huey Recreation Center.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And we also have several questions because the essential services plan that we talked about that has caused us to take away certain routes. There was less of an impact in Clayton, but we understand that everybody wants their bus running. And as Frank mentioned, when we started this essential services plan, COVID, the average daily cases were about 760 a day. I know it's pretty outside and it doesn't look like anything is going on, but COVID, the rates are still high. We're still seeing about 2,000 plus cases a day, which is triple than what we started. But we are trying to get the service back before, but we just want protect our essential workers in this process. We are working to get that back, but we don't want to do it hastily. As we move through this COVID situation, we do want to be a responsible partner in Clayton and be responsible with our riders and our customers. So we will continue to phase in routes as we go. And as I mentioned, we need your opinions on that. Please email us at custerd, that's CUSTSERD@itsmarter.com, because every time we get a request from our riders for a particular route, we do document those requests. So if there are routes out there that you really feel passionate about bringing back into service, please, please, please let us know, and we will work in a responsible way to do the best that we can to restore that service. Thank you.
Erica, if I may add one thing to your response. So we have noted that bus ridership has gone down since we started the front door boarding again and fare collection resumed. So our teams are now evaluating what additional capacity we may have, and we're looking at what routes we can potentially restore. So again, back to that criteria for basically restoring a route that we discussed earlier, and that being, okay, pre-COVID ridership, basically serving vulnerable population, essential destination serve, and customer feedback. So you kind of mentioned all those. So we are in the process of evaluating those routes.
Okay, thank you. And we have time for one more question, and just to let you guys know, we will post, we'll send the questions and answers out and try to get them posted for you. And we do have Tracy, what's the email address you want them to email also?
Clayton@itsmarter.com.
Okay, and also, what I have, you give them the telephone number if they want to call in and leave a message with their questions.
If you'd like to call in, you can use the public comment line. That is 404-848-5299. 404-848-5299.
Thank you so much. And we'll do one more question because we're running out of time. This question is, will MARTA bring real-time bus arrivals to bus shelters and to transit centers? I would have Frank or Ryan answer that.
When we say real-time bus arrival, basically, is that tracking schedules, et cetera?
Yeah, I think as a bus rider, if I'm standing at the bus, will I know down to the minute when my bus is coming if I'm standing at a stop that has technology there?
I think as we start looking at our our bus signage program, where you begin to see that kind of technology come into place, the answer will be yes, but it's going to be a combination. You know, we are now embarking on a bus signage program, which basically will include, basically scanning bars, the form of technology that's needed to give you some accurate indication of where your bus is and when it will be arriving. So I would say stay tuned, and we will actually give a more detailed response when we respond back in writing to that question. But it's going to be related to the new bus signage program that we're about to institute.
Okay, thank you. This presentation will be online. We did do a live stream from our website, and we'll have this presentation up on our YouTube page, and we'll post it. And remember, we will come back to you because we want to discuss the system plan that Tracy mentioned. And please send us your questions, call in those questions. We appreciate your time tonight. We'll get those videos posted for you, and we'll get them also posted to social media. And I just want to say thank you. We have had a good time in Clayton. We started 5 years ago, and we're moving forward, and we're just looking forward to big things. And I just want to say thank you for your time. And if you can join us on Saturday, please tell your friends and family who you think would be interested in these presentations to join on Saturday. And with that, thank you to the panelists, thank you to the team, and thanks most importantly all of those of you that joined us this evening. Have a good night. Thanks.